He spent years planting what nobody could see. Everyone called him crazy, until his garden fed the entire village. In a valley where farmers struggled to grow enough food, two brothers inherited small plots of land from their father. Both wanted to feed their families. Both worked hard. Both planted crops every season. But 10 years later, one brother had a garden that produced year-round while the other still struggled to survive each harvest. The difference? One brother planted seeds everyone could see. The other planted seeds nobody could see until they became forests. The first brother's name was Nossa. When Nossa got his land, he immediately planted vegetables, fast-growing crops that he could harvest in 3 months. Lettuce, radishes, beans, things that grew quickly and could be sold soon. Nossa worked hard every season. He'd plant, water, harvest, sell, then start over. Plant, water, harvest, sell. Every 3 months, the same cycle. He needed money now, so he only planted things that produced now. People would walk past Nossa's land and see green vegetables growing. They'd say, "Look at Nossa. He's working smart. His land is producing." And it was producing. Every harvest, Nossa had food to sell. He made enough money to survive, but just barely. He was always 3 months away from having nothing, always dependent on the next harvest, always starting from zero. 10 years passed. Nossa was still planting the same fast-growing vegetables, still harvesting every 3 months, still making just enough to survive. His land looked active, but it never grew in value or productivity. He was stuck in the same cycle forever. The second brother's name was Zahir. When Zahir got his land, he did something different. Yes, he planted some fast-growing vegetables to survive. But he also planted something else. Seeds that nobody could see producing anything. Zahir planted fruit tree seeds, apple trees, orange trees, date palms, trees that would take 5 years before producing any fruit. Trees that most people thought were a waste of time. People walked past Zahir's land and saw mostly empty dirt with a few tiny saplings. They'd say, "Zahir is wasting his land. He should be growing food, not waiting for trees that won't produce for years." Zahir's neighbors thought he was foolish. His family questioned his decisions. "Why are you planting trees? We need food now, not in 5 years." But Zahir understood something Nossa didn't. He was playing a different game. Nossa was playing the survival game. Zahir was playing the wealth game. And the wealth game requires planting things that take time to grow. The first 3 years were hard for Zahir. His vegetables kept him alive, but his trees produced nothing. Just small saplings slowly growing in the background. Invisible investments that looked like wasted space. Year 4. Still nothing from the trees. People kept saying, "See, we told you this was stupid." But year 5. Something changed. Zahir's first apple tree produced fruit. Not much. Just a few apples. But it was a start. Year 6. More apples. Plus his orange trees started producing. Year 7. His date palms gave their first harvest. By year 10, Zahir's land was completely different from Nossa's. Zahir still grew some vegetables. But now he also had 10 mature fruit trees producing year-round. trees that required almost no work, but generated constant income. While Nossa replanted vegetables every 3 months, Zahir's trees just kept producing. No replanting, no constant labor, just steady, reliable fruit. Month after month, year after year, Zahir's trees were worth more than his entire plot of land was when he started. He could sell fruit, sell seeds, sell saplings to others. His invisible investments had become a fortune. One day, exhausted from another harvest cycle, Nossa walked past Zahir's land. He saw the mature trees, the abundant fruit, the wealth. He couldn't understand how it happened. Nossa said, "We started with the same land. I worked just as hard as you. Why is your land producing so much more?" Zahir replied, "Because you only planted what you could see producing quickly. I planted what nobody could see, but would grow into something massive." Nossa argued, "But I needed money now. I couldn't wait 5 years for trees." Zahir nodded. "I understand. But here's what you missed. Those 5 years passed anyway. Whether you planted trees or not. I planted trees 5 years ago and struggled. You planted nothing long-term and still struggled. The difference is, my struggle ended. Yours continues forever." Here's the truth about wealth that most people never grasp. The best investments are invisible for years before they become fortunes. Nossa represents how most people approach money. They only invest in things that produce immediate returns. Quick gains, fast profits, instant results. They can't imagine waiting years for something to grow. So they work jobs that pay weekly. They invest in get-rich-quick schemes. They ignore anything that requires patience. They want to see results now, so they only plant fast-growing crops. And they stay trapped in the cycle forever, working constantly, making just enough, never building anything that lasts. Zahir represents investors who build real wealth. They understand that the most valuable things take time to grow. They plant seeds that produce nothing for years. They invest in assets that seem worthless today but become priceless tomorrow. They buy stocks that don't pay dividends yet but will multiply in value. They start businesses that lose money initially but build foundations. They develop skills that don't generate income immediately but compound over decades. These investments are invisible. Nobody sees them producing anything. Friends call them wasteful. Family calls them foolish. But patient investors know what's growing beneath the surface. Think about your own life. Are you only planting fast-growing vegetables? Are you only focused on income that shows up this month? Or are you planting invisible seeds that will become forests? Most people never plant long-term seeds because they can't handle the waiting. They can't handle years of seeing nothing. They can't handle people questioning their choices. So they stay stuck planting vegetables forever. But 5 years passes whether you plant trees or not. 10 years passes whether you invest or not. The time will go by. The only question is whether you'll have forests at the end or still be replanting vegetables. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. But most people will waste another 20 years planting only vegetables because they can't handle invisible investments. Nossa worked for 10 years and stayed in the same spot. Zahir planted invisible seeds for 10 years and created a fortune. Same time, different strategy, One planted only what he could see. One planted what would grow beyond sight. One stayed trapped. One became wealthy. Stop demanding instant results. Start planting invisible seeds. The best investments take time. Subscribe for more.